Is Northern Virginia actually worth it anymore? Every week, I talk to homeowners who are staring at a Zillow listing in Tennessee, Florida, or the Carolinas, wondering whether they're crazy for staying in Northern Virginia, or are they crazy for leaving? They see a newer house, a larger yard, a 3-car garage, maybe even a pool, and it costs less than an ordinary colonial in Fairfax County. So today, we're going to look past the housing prices and talk about the hidden costs of moving that no one tells you about until the moving truck is already gone. Because after more than 20 years helping people buy and sell homes throughout Northern Virginia, I've noticed something. The people who are happiest with their decision are not necessarily the people who moved. Neither are they necessarily the people who stayed. They're the people who understood what they were really buying and what they were quietly giving up. Later in this video, I'm going to share what I call the Ordinary Wednesday test. It's a simple mental exercise that has helped some people realize they were finally ready to leave Northern Virginia and stopped others from making a very expensive mistake. But first, let's talk about why so many people are having this conversation in the first place. I'm Brian Block. I'm a Northern Virginia realtor and managing broker, and I've spent more than 2 decades working with buyers, sellers, and relocating families throughout Alexandria, Arlington, Fairfax County, and the surrounding region. I've helped people move into Northern Virginia for federal jobs, military assignments, technology positions, family connections, and career opportunities. I've also helped people leave Northern Virginia for Florida, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, and other lower-cost markets. Some loved the move. Some missed Northern Virginia much more than they had expected. And some people became convinced that they needed to leave, only to discover that Northern Virginia was not actually the problem. The problem was their house, or their commute, or the amount of maintenance that they were carrying, or the fact that they were living in a part of the region that no longer matched their life. And that's the part most people get wrong. They assume the only choices are to stay exactly where they are or move several states away. Often, there are more options than that. Before we get into those options, tell me in the comments, have you thought about leaving Northern Virginia and where you would go? I'm curious because this is no longer an occasional conversation. It has become one of the most common discussions I have with longtime homeowners. Let's start with the obvious. Northern Virginia is expensive. Not just the homes, everything surrounding the homes. Childcare, summer camps, restaurants, contractors, insurance. Even when someone earns a good income here, it can feel as though every dollar already has a job. Older homeowners may have tremendous equity, but feel increasingly tired of paying property taxes, maintaining a large yard, and replacing one aging system after another. Then they open Zillow, and that's when things get dangerous. They see a new-looking home outside Nashville with a huge kitchen and a screened-in porch. Perhaps they see a larger house near Raleigh with a newer roof, newer systems, and a lower price. Maybe it's a Florida community with palm trees, a pool, and no gray February weather. Within 15 minutes, they're mentally packing their bags. $1 million budget in Northern Virginia can still come with some very real compromises. In Arlington, that budget may buy a great location, but not necessarily a large renovated detached home. In McLean, it may get you into a premium community while forcing you to accept an older house, dated kitchen, or a less than perfect floor plan. Northern Virginia makes people choose location or space, condition or commute, walkability or privacy. You can usually get more of something. It is much harder to get more of everything. After years of making those compromises, some people simply get tired. Housing creates the financial pressure. Traffic creates the emotional pressure. Northern Virginia residents do not simply drive on roads. We organize our lives around them. I-66, I-95, I-395, the Beltway, Route 7, Route 50, Route 28, Fairfax County Parkway, the Mixing Bowl. Every local watching this video understands that a home can look close to work on a map and still feel very far away at 5:15 on a Tuesday afternoon. A 20-mile commute can consume a large part of someone's day. A buyer may purchase more space farther west or south and later realize that the additional bedroom came with several more hours of driving That is why a fairly ordinary looking house in Arlington can cost so much. The buyer is not necessarily paying only for the walls, roof, and kitchen. They may be paying for a shorter commute. They may be paying for metro access. They may be paying for proximity to DC. Perhaps they're paying for the ability to reach Reagan National Airport in 15 minutes instead of an hour. Even people who have bought convenience can still become exhausted by the general pace. Too demanding careers, school drop-offs, daycare pickups, professional obligations, activities, traffic. Northern Virginia offers tremendous opportunity, but opportunity often comes with pressure. And sometimes the desire to move is really the desire to breathe. By the way, if you're watching this video while you're sitting at a standstill on I-66 or the Beltway, I get it. That feeling of wanting to keep driving until you reach another state can be very real. After a bad commute, almost any place with an open road and a cheaper house starts to look like paradise. But let's look at what happens when you actually get where you're going. The house may be less expensive. The life may not be. Before you pack your bags for the Sun Belt, we need to talk about the lower cost fantasy. That phrase does not mean that the savings are imaginary. In many places, housing really is less expensive. Taxes may be lower. A Northern Virginia homeowner may be able to sell, reduce the mortgage substantially, and enjoy a much less stressful financial life. The fantasy begins when people assume that a cheaper house automatically creates a cheaper, easier, and happier life. It can, but not by itself. Let's start with Florida, because that is probably the #1 destination that people mention to me. Florida is emotionally powerful, especially in February. That time of year, Northern Virginia is gray. The trees are bare. There may be slush or ice along the side of the road. Then you see a listing online with palm trees, bright sunlight, and a pool. Florida sells itself. Warm winters, beaches, outdoor living, golf, no scraping ice from the windshield. For many people, Florida is absolutely the right move. Someone who loves warm weather, already has family or friends there, and understands the specific community may really thrive. The thing that people often overlook is that they're evaluating Florida as a vacation destination instead of as the setting for ordinary life. They focus on the absence of state income tax, maybe not focusing as much on homeowners insurance, flood risk, storm preparation, association fees, summer humidity, or the cost of traveling back to Virginia several times a year. Now, Tennessee appeals for a different reason. It represents space, lower costs, natural beauty, and a slower pace. Nashville offers music, culture, and economic growth. Knoxville and Chattanooga provide different mixes of city life, affordability, and access to the outdoors. A Northern Virginia homeowner with substantial equity may be able to purchase something newer, eliminate the mortgage, or keep a meaningful amount of cash available for retirement. That's real breathing room. For someone who has spent decades carrying a large Northern Virginia mortgage, that change can feel life-altering. However, a beautiful house outside Nashville does not answer some of the larger questions. How close is the airport? What kind of healthcare is available? Will the local culture feel comfortable to you? Some people love starting over. Others discover that building new friendships in their 50s, 60s, and beyond is more difficult than expected. The house can be beautiful and still feel lonely. The Carolinas often feel like the practical compromise. They're generally closer to Virginia than Florida or Texas. The weather may be warmer, housing may be more affordable. There are cities with strong employment, healthcare, and cultural options. Raleigh, Cary, Durham, and Chapel Hill appeal to people who still want technology, education, medicine, and intellectual energy. Charlotte offers a large business and financial center. Charleston offers history, architecture, and coastal living. But saying we're moving to the Carolinas is not a complete plan. Living outside Raleigh is very different from living in Charleston. The successful move is not from Northern Virginia to a state. It is from one specific daily life to another specific daily life. Texas enters the conversation because of space, employment, opportunities, and newer housing. Dallas, Austin, Houston, and San Antonio are very different markets, but each of them can offer homes that look enormous compared with similarly priced properties closer to DC. More house, more land, more garage, but more is not automatically better. A larger home costs more to furnish, cool, and maintain. Longer distances may mean more driving. Property taxes and insurance may surprise people who focus primarily on the purchase price. Texas may still be the better choice, but more house should not be confused with better life until the full picture has been examined. After helping people make this decision over many years, here's what many discover they would be giving up. They're not simply giving up a house in Northern Virginia. They may be giving up a professional safety net. They may be giving up access to major airports, specialized healthcare, and educational opportunities. They may be giving up proximity to family, a congregation, trusted doctors, and friends who can show up during a crisis. They may be giving up a region that is frustrating, but also incredibly connected. Northern Virginia is expensive for a reason. That does not mean everyone should pay the price. It means the price includes more than the house. One of Northern Virginia's strongest advantages is the number of ways a career can change without requiring someone to move. The federal government is obviously a major part of the economy here, but is not the whole economy. There are government contractors, defense companies, cybersecurity businesses, technology firms, consulting companies, healthcare systems, law firms, universities, associations, nonprofits, and thousands of businesses serving a highly educated population. Loudoun County has become central to the data center and technology economy, and Arlington continues to attract employers because of its workforce, metro access, and proximity to DC. Fairfax County provides multiple employment centers from McLean and Tysons through Reston, Chantilly, and Herndon. The practical value is flexibility. Someone may leave a federal agency and join a contractor without having to relocate. Consultants may move between jobs in DC, Arlington, Tysons, and Reston. A military spouse may have far more career options here than near a smaller installation or city. That's the job safety net. A lower cost region may reduce monthly expenses, but it can also reduce the number of backup options if a job changes. For someone who still has 15 or 20 working years ahead, it can matter a great deal. Northern Virginia families often remain because of the range of schools and opportunities available, both inside and outside the classroom. There are public, private, parochial, and specialized options, language immersion schools, advanced academics, arts programs, technology programs. Parents sometimes pay a significant premium to remain within a particular school pyramid in McLean, Vienna, Oakton, Arlington, Chantilly, Burke, West Springfield. Others prioritize Thomas Jefferson High School for science and technology, a private school, or a specific program that works for their child. No school system is perfect, and the pressure here can become unhealthy. Some families leave because they want less competition and a simpler childhood for their children. That's a legitimate choice. The Northern Virginia region also gives young people unusual access. They can visit Smithsonian museums. They can see the Capitol and historic sites. They can visit Mount Vernon and Civil War battlefields. Children from across the country go on field trips to these places, but Northern Virginia children have these places in their backyard. Healthcare and airport access are not the most exciting subjects. Northern Virginia residents have access to the INOVA system and medical facilities throughout Fairfax, Alexandria, Arlington, Loudoun, and Prince William counties. They're also within reach of major specialists and institutions in DC and in Maryland. Someone with a complicated medical history may have spent years building a network of trusted doctors. That medical network cannot be easily replaced. A beautiful retirement community may be much further from major medical care than it appears during a relaxed weekend tour. The same thing is true of airports. Reagan National is extremely convenient for many residents of Northern Virginia. Dulles Airport gives the region extensive domestic and international access and is especially valuable for residents of Reston, Herndon, Chantilly, Ashburn, and Western Fairfax. BWI provides another option. Having these multiple airports means more direct flights, more scheduling choices, and easier access to family, work, and international and recreational travel. Someone moving to a smaller city may save substantially on the home, but spend more time and more money connecting through another airport every time they travel. That cost does not appear on the listing, but it becomes part of the life. We're a ways into this video, so let me make something clear. I'm not building a case that Northern Virginia is secretly inexpensive or that everyone who leaves regrets it. That would be nonsense. Some people absolutely should leave Northern Virginia. I'll tell you who in a moment. Before we get there, there's one advantage Northern Virginia has that many people overlook completely. You may not need to leave the region to build a very different life. A person can change their daily experience dramatically without moving several states away. You can live in a historic row house in Old Town Alexandria. You can choose a bungalow, duplex, or small detached home in Delray. You can live in a high-rise in Roslyn or Crystal City. You can choose the energy and metro access of Ballston or Clarendon. You can live in a quiet suburban neighborhood in Vienna, Fairfax, Burke, West Springfield, or Oakton. Or you can find newer construction in Ashburn, Brambleton, or South Riding. You can look for land and privacy in Clifton, Great Falls, Fairfax Station, or Western Loudoun County. You can live near the Potomac River in Mount Vernon or Fort Hunt, or choose a central location in Annandale or Falls Church. Northern Virginia is not one lifestyle. Someone tired of maintaining a large Fairfax County colonial may be happier in a condo. Someone who no longer needs Arlington may find a better balance of life in Springfield or Burke, closer to Metro or a town center. And someone wanting land may move further west. The decision is not always stay in this exact house forever or move to Florida. Sometimes the better move is just 20 minutes away. Northern Virginia residents get used to Washington, D.C. When something is always available, it sometimes stops feeling special. But think about what surrounds us here. The Smithsonian Museums, the Kennedy Center, Wolf Trap, the Birchmere, the National Mall, Mount Vernon, Arlington National Cemetery, Great Falls, historic Old Town Alexandria, the Mount Vernon Trail, the W&OD Trail, lots of professional sports, concerts, embassies, universities, historic sites, even day trips to Annapolis, Middleburg, Shenandoah Valley, Richmond, Baltimore, and the Eastern Shore. And then there's the food and cultural diversity of the area. Annandale is a destination for Korean food. The Eden Center in Falls Church is one of the region's most important Vietnamese cultural and dining centers. Throughout Alexandria, Arlington, Fairfax, and Loudoun, you can find Ethiopian, Afghan, Persian, Indian, Thai, Salvadoran, Mediterranean, and countless other cuisines. The region is filled with people who have lived and worked around the world. That can make Northern Virginia feel intense, but it can also make it very interesting. Some people leave the region and discover that they do not miss the competition, but they do miss the energy, diversity, and access of Northern Virginia. The hardest part of leaving is usually not the house. It's the personal infrastructure around the house. Your family, your friends, your congregation, your doctors, your gym, your volunteer work, professional relationships, neighbors. These relationships do not appear in a cost of living calculator, but they do determine whether daily life feels connected or isolated. People often assume that they'll rebuild a community quickly, and some do. An outgoing person moving into an active neighborhood or retirement community may form relationships almost instantly. Others find it much, much harder. And that's especially true when someone retires and relocates at the same time. Work often provides structure, and for many people it provides identity and regular contact with other people. When work ends and the person also leaves their established community, everything changes all at once. That can be freeing, but it can also be deeply disorienting. A pool does not create purpose. A golf course does not automatically create close friendships. And warm weather does not guarantee that family will visit as often as everyone promises. Again, this is not a reason to stay automatically here in Northern Virginia. It is a reason to create a plan for the new life, not just the new house. Some people should leave Northern Virginia. A longtime homeowner may be approaching retirement with most of their wealth tied up in the house. Selling that house may allow that person to eliminate the mortgage, reduce their monthly expenses, and create much stronger financial foundation for the rest of their life. A remote worker with a stable, portable career may be able to maintain their income while dramatically lowering their housing and other costs. Someone may genuinely dislike the pace, traffic, and culture here in Northern Virginia. They may want land, warmer weather, or a smaller community. Or a family may decide that the financial pressure and achievement culture are not healthy for them. Those are some real reasons to leave. The people who tend to thrive after relocating usually have one thing in common. They're moving toward something specific. They know the actual community. They've visited in more than one season, and they understand the taxes, insurance, and healthcare, and have thought about how they will spend an ordinary week. They've identified a club, volunteer organization, congregation, social group, or activity, and they have a reason to wake up on Monday morning that goes beyond just enjoying the new kitchen. They're building a life, not merely escaping a commute. Other people need to be more cautious. Someone still building a career may underestimate the value of Northern Virginia's job safety net. A family whose children are thriving may underestimate the disruption of changing schools and friendships. A person with complicated medical needs may underestimate the value of trusted specialists in Northern Virginia. Someone whose children and grandchildren live nearby may underestimate how much spontaneous contact contributes to their happiness. People should avoid making a permanent decision during a temporary period of burnout. A miserable job can make an entire region feel wrong. A long commute can make a distant state look perfect. And a large aging house can create the impression that Northern Virginia itself is the burden. Sometimes the solution is leaving. Sometimes it's a different job, a smaller home, a shorter commute, maybe a condo, a different county, perhaps a neighborhood with more walkability, and a house with less maintenance. The move needs to solve the real problem. So earlier on, I promised you the ordinary Wednesday test. When people imagine moving, they usually picture the best parts. The new beautiful house, the pool, the porch, the warmer weather, the extra money in the bank. The first few weeks after moving. But that's not what determines whether the decision works. Picture the new location 6 months after closing on the house. The boxes are now gone and the furniture is in place. Maybe you've hung up your pictures. The new kitchen no longer feels new. Now it's an ordinary Wednesday. What does that day feel like? Not vacation, not a holiday, not the weekend your family comes to visit. Wednesday. Where do you go? Who do you see? How far is the grocery store? What do you do after lunch? How close is your doctor? How easy is it to get to the airport? What happens if your remote job ends? The ordinary Wednesday test cuts through the fantasy. If that Wednesday looks calmer, more connected, more affordable, and more meaningful than your current life, perhaps the right move is moving, and that could be exactly right for you. If the only thing that looks better is the house, you might need to keep thinking. Then apply the same test to staying. Imagine staying in Northern Virginia, but not necessarily in the same house or routine. What if you downsized? What if you moved closer to work? What if you sold a detached house and bought a condo? What if you moved from Arlington into Fairfax County and released some of your equity? What if you moved from a high maintenance property into a walkable community? Could a different version of Northern Virginia solve the problem without forcing you to rebuild your entire life? The answer may still be no, but now you're comparing two complete lives, not two listing photographs. After more than 20 years in Northern Virginia real estate, here is my honest conclusion. Northern Virginia is not for everyone. It is expensive, it is demanding, the traffic can be exhausting. The pace can make life feel like one long series of appointments. Some people will improve their lives by leaving, lowering their expenses, and choosing a community that better fits the next stage of life. However, Northern Virginia also provides opportunity, career flexibility, education, healthcare, diversity, airport access, culture, and an extraordinary range of communities. It gives people access to DC without requiring everyone to live in DC. It offers historic neighborhoods, walkable urban centers, traditional suburbs, newer planned communities, trails, parks, international restaurants, and interesting people from all over the world. For some people, those benefits are well worth the cost. For others, they're not. My goal is not to convince you to stay, and it's definitely not to frighten you into leaving Northern Virginia. The goal is to understand the whole trade-off. Homes are easier to compare, whereas lives are much harder. If you leave Northern Virginia, leave because you're moving towards a life that you've researched and that you genuinely want. If you stay, stay because you still value what Northern Virginia and the region provides. Don't stay simply because change feels frightening, and don't leave simply because another house looks impressive online at 11 o'clock at night. The best move is not the one that buys the largest house. It's the one that produces the best ordinary Wednesday. If you're thinking about leaving Northern Virginia, downsizing, selling a long-time home, or moving to a different part of this region, I would be happy to help you think through the options. Sometimes the right answer is Florida, Tennessee, Carolinas, Texas, or somewhere else. But other times it's Arlington, Alexandria, Fairfax, Springfield, or another community much closer than you might have expected. You can reach me at brian@brianblock.com and leave me a comment with two things. What would make you leave Northern Virginia? And what would be the hardest thing to give up from your life here in Northern Virginia? I think the answers are going to reveal a lot about why people stay and why they go. I'm Brian Block, Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video.